Pink Print Podcast. We're so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
We finally got you here.
I know. I'm wearing pink in your honor.
Exactly.
It's so cute that, like, you not remembered, but, like, you're coming on the Pink Print Podcast with such a cute detail.
Always about the details.
Yeah.
And we're wearing, like, black. We're, like,
I know,
at all.
literally.
It's fine.
We get into work mode and then we're like, oh wait, we have to be pink mode. Yeah.
I know, exactly.
So anyway, we want to go back to the beginning. We know that you started at law school, correct? So tell us a little bit about that journey. Why did you start going to law school and what inspired you to take that path?
Well, I started in law school in 2010. I really wanted to be a lawyer. That was the path that I was going to go on. And when I was in law school, I was like, Greenberg Traurig is like the best firm. I'm going to work there. I'm very, I'm a big manifester. So I didn't know that at the time. There was like no label, but like I always would set out on these goals and I would laser focus on it and then like somehow make it happen. So after a few years, after graduation, I clerked and then I ended up at Greenberg. And there I was, day one, my dream job. And, you know, in the beginning, I really liked it and it was great, but it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I think that inside, I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. My dad's an entrepreneur. And I mean, I come from like immigrant parents. I think it's very common to have that. So I think it was always itching, but I didn't really have the idea. And you can't just sit down and be like, okay, now I'm going to think about a business idea so I don't have to be a lawyer. But it just kind of happened very naturally. I was looking for a gift for my secretary. She loved her cat. I wanted to get her a candle, maybe with a cat on it. It really wasn't out there. And so that's how it came about. And I said that, you know, for me, I wanted proof of concept before I left like this job that I worked so hard to get. So it really didn't take long. We launched an Instagram and we kind of got our first sale from Instagram from a shop in Coral Gables. And it was for a decent amount of units. And I was like, okay, proof of concept, 2 weeks. And that was that.
Nice. So did you guys start like more B2B rather than B2C?
No, I think the brand was always supposed to be D2C.
Okay.
Especially at the time, I had a very close friend of mine from LA who had started a kind of like a cast iron pots and pan company, and he was crushing it. And I was like, D2C, like that's great, you know, like you don't really need brick and mortar. It was just like really on the rise at that time. So it was meant to be D2C, but of course, naturally, you know, we would get inquiries for wholesale. And so I always said yes. I'd be like, yeah, sure, we do that. So, it was always kind of 50-50 until the pandemic.
Okay, got it. So you guys started D2C?
Definitely.
Okay, and then the brick and mortar location came when?
It kind of came, again, unplanned, as you'll notice is the theme of everything in an entrepreneur's journey. But so we needed a space, found a space. 6 months into being in that space, we had noticed that they were going to tear down the building. Had to move frantically, like looking for locations. Got very lucky. My husband's friend owned a building in Wynwood and was like, you can rent a space here. I was like, okay, great. And because it was in Wynwood, and Wynwood is cool, I was like, it would be such a waste to just have it be a warehouse space. Let's transform like a little area in the front that can be sort of like a showroom brick and mortar situation where people can come in, they can buy, they can see, they can touch, feel, smell. And that's kind of how it happened. So, I would say it kind of happened at the same time and very accidentally.
So to go back to when you were a lawyer and you were at the firm, did it just click? Like you were okay with transitioning after you wanted to manifest this for so long? Because I feel like people also have a hard time, like, wanting to take that leap. They're like, well, I've wanted this for so long, I'm here. Or was it just sort of like, no, I know this is not now meant for me, switch super quickly? Like, what was that in your head?
That's a great question. I'm putting myself in my mindset at the time. And in my head, I thought, why not? I'm just going to try this out. It's not permanent. That's usually my mentality with things, just to try it. I'm still a lawyer. I still, you're not giving that up. That part is still there. And especially if you many lawyers take a year break for other things, traveling, soul searching, starting a business, whatever. So I feel like in my head, I was like, I'll do it for a year. I'll see what happens. And then if it's not working out, I'll go back. And if it's not there, somewhere else. But I wasn't really that worried about it.
You were just super open to it.
Yes. And I think I was excited about the challenge and trying something new. And if it didn't work out, no big deal.
Right. And were you still at your job, I guess, like financially before you let that go to then leap into the business?
So,
because some people also are hesitant.
Right.
They're like, I want to start a business, but I'm going to need money. Do I get investors, or do I save the money, or should I still have a main job? So a lot of people are, they stress about that.
So the business is still completely bootstrapped. And I remember telling myself that if I stay until, I think it was like June or something, if I stay at my job until June and save X amount, that will go towards the business. So I sort of had a plan in my head, generally. And so every day when I would just kind of have the urge to be like, here's my 2 weeks now. I just, I would remind myself like, okay, I have a path and I kind of have a plan and I'm going to stick to that plan.
Yeah.
And so, it was just like a lot of saving and a lot of juggling.
Right.
But that's the story of my life.
I want to ask, because you said that you've always been into like manifesting, and you're saying like, oh, it was luck that I got this like space in Wynwood and all this stuff, but you also seem to be like very analytical, and you're like budgeting and saving and not quitting your job. So how do you think you balance like being like analytical versus like, I'm going to manifest this and do this? Like, where do you find the difference between those two?
I think it's not, I'm not going to give myself that much credit. Like, I don't think I can like tell you how, sometimes I do it this way for this and that. Like, it's definitely not planned. I think that generally I like to always have something to work towards, right? Like, even on a smaller scale, I love to-do lists. Like, every day I have crazy to-do lists.
But you know what? It makes you feel so much more accomplished and better.
Crossing it
even
off.
if it's 3 things. Like, today I'm going to get done these 3 things that I really need to do. And you're like, wow, I did them.
Exactly.
I also like can't think unless I write down what I have to do that day, because then things continuously pop up in my head, and I'm like, if I forget to do this, I'm gonna freak out. So I just have to have it all in front of me, like on decal.
This must be like a lawyer thing. Yes, it's definitely like a type A analytical thing. But like on a larger scale, I love to have sort of like the theme of the year, or like in general, like what is the point? It's kind of like I asked you before, like, what is your goal with this?
Yes.
Like, and so like with Taja, the goal is to make people happy.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's like the big overarching goal. And then obviously I have financial goals and just like internal goals of like what I want the team to be like and the culture. So there's always things to work towards. And I feel like having that and like having that like bigger thing to manifest, then that's where all the analytical stuff comes in to kind of like make it happen.
Totally.
Since you are so goal oriented, how do you remain consistent and driven and energized and not like fall off the wagon?
I don't know. If you gave me like a pillow, I would fall asleep right now. So lots of green tea. I stopped drinking coffee, so I'm on a green tea kick. But, I think I really am passionate about what I do, and I think I've had a taste of a different career, and it didn't fill my cup personally, and so now I have something that does. And no matter what's going on in my life, there could be years where things are going really well, and then there could be years, like this year in particular has been a challenging year for me personally. So having somewhere that you love going and something that you love doing, it's kind of amazing.
It is. It's also
it's the dream.
Not easy to get,
right?
Like, to find that thing,
right? So I think that in itself just is it helps me keep going and keep doing it. And, you know, it's funny. I started working on Sundays because it's really hard. Nobody wants to work on Sundays here, beach day. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it because so many customers can't make it during the week and they really want to come in and do pickups or drop off refills or engrave on the spot or whatever. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to use that time. Anyway, it's like during my daughter's nap time. So I'm like, let me just like get out of the house for a little. And it's been such a refuge for me because I get to talk with my customers. I get to kind of go back into all the things that I really do love doing. And sometimes I get caught up in a lot of admin or like CEO things. And I really do enjoy all aspects of it. And one of the things I love is interacting with my customers. And so it's just been really nice. And I'm like, wow, moment of gratitude right here, right now, because I love going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's really nice.
I think that's like such an overarching theme that we talk about on this, I was going to say show. It is a show podcast.
Yeah.
And I always think about like my dad because of course there's that saying like, find what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And while I think that's true, there's also obviously a lot of hard work and dedication that goes into it. But if you're willing to put it in, then you have something there. And that's like the most important part, that you are willing to put in that work. Because if you were working for something that you didn't care so much about, then you wouldn't be putting in all that time and effort. So it is so beautiful to like find that passion and be willing to make those sacrifices. Like you said, like work on Sunday, but there's such an upside to it too. And you get to like be with your customers. And it's interesting because I'm also just thinking now, but it all comes back to like, why are we on this planet? And it's like for human connection.
Yeah.
And you're saying like the best part of your job is to connect with the people that you're making these candles for and to make them happy. And I texted you the other day, we're in real estate as the podcast knows, but sometimes there's a lot of ups and downs in real estate.
Yeah.
You're dealing with so many personalities and like a lot of mean people. But I texted her and I was like, my client is so happy. And like, this is the reason we show up every day because I am so deeply happy that I got to.
Oh, I have chills.
Yeah, but it's true. And it's the same for like anyone in any business that they're passionate about.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, really, just that moment is like, wow, it's like a relief, you know? It's like everything we do, it's like, all right, at the end of the day, you're happy, we're happy, the connection, that's the best part.
Yeah.
I like to record those moments, or like I like to file we call them proud emails.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, because sometimes, you know, you can get lost in the negativity. We'll have, especially after sales or something like that, where there's a huge influx of orders, you know, there's always, my candle broke, my candle melted,
right.
My candle has the wrong thing, the lid isn't on, whatever. And so sometimes, you know, especially like on the customer service end, it can get really overwhelming and my team is like exhausted from dealing with it. And it's kind of a negative thing. So we really try to highlight the proud emails. And also we use every mistake and every situation that we try to, you know, make it into a better, and especially like that's an opportunity for us, but you don't want to get lost in all the negativity. So I love filing that somewhere. You can even just put it in like a folder on Gmail, and it's kind of nice to go back to and be like, wow.
No, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just get like lost in the midst of all of it.
Well, think about it. At the end of the day, we are wired usually to think about what went wrong that day, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so nice to actually think about what went well today.
Yeah.
So when you started, Taja, like what was just the first step? Like, how did you decide, like, I'm going to make these? Like, where did you manufacture them? Where did you find the product? How did you test all of this? Like, there must have been so much before making the first candle.
Well, also, like, you said it was a gift for your secretary. You wanted to gift her a candle, and she likes cats. But, like, how does that lead to, like, actually being, oh, I'm just going to literally make this product?
Right.
Well, maybe I'll make a notebook.
Right.
Maybe I'll make a...
Right. No, there were 100 steps in between. A few things that I would say kind of pushed it to the prototype direction from just an idea was, at the time I was working on something for a partner. I don't remember what exactly I was doing, but we were looking at this company that was doing electric candles or something. And so I had to do a lot of research on the candle industry, on ingredients and things like that. And I was like, this is $1 billion industry. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so I think that was kind of like the first thing. And then, it's like you kind of like get all these signs and then you take it all in and then you're like, oh, light bulb, this is a good idea. So that was one thing that happened that kind of pushed me there. And then I remember my husband one weekend was like, you keep talking about it, but like, I'm not seeing anything. And he was like, he meant it in the best way possible. And I was like, you're so right. I need a prototype. Like I need so that's kind of when the puzzle pieces started coming together. And I would sketch out what I thought it would look like. I wanted them to be square, not cylinder, because it's, different. We're so used to seeing cylinder candles. Mm-hmm. This is just something, it's a little more modern and it has, it's chic. Yeah. And it's also easier to engrave on it if it's square. But also, just the other things like researching what kind of wax. And also at the time I was about to be married. So I knew I wanted to start a family. And I was like, okay, what is in these candles? This is before anybody was talking about it. So people were talking about makeup and what's in makeup because it touches your skin. So everyone started to become more aware about that. But nobody cared about candles. And even though it's not touching your skin, you're inhaling it. Mm-hmm. So what is inside of it? So that was kind of the first time I was like, well, maybe we'll manufacture it too. Initially, I was like, okay, white label it or something. Yeah. But then I realized I visited a couple of candle factories and it was all hand labor. So it's like, okay, I would rather have control over this process and what's going into the candles. And, cost-wise, it's essentially the same. So that's kind of what we decided to do. And, it was like a deep dive of research and a lot of trial and error. I mean, the candle had so many different variations. I'm sorry to anybody who ordered like that first year, just because, the amount of wicks and all these things. And, it was just like figuring things out. So,
that's a very fun process to go through though.
It was fun.
I mean, looking back though, like you're like, wow, look at all the variations, and like you're like doing it like
totally. It was. I would say it was like fast forward. I thought that it was going to take so much longer, so we would have so much more time to kind of figure it all out. But when the first order came, we had to make everything, and we had not made more than 10 candles at that time. So like it was a big catch up.
So how did you prepare for like a wholesale order? How many people did you have working with you at that point?
It was just me and my co-founder at the time. So it was a very small team working out of a kitchen and garage. It was very startup.
Yeah.
And I think the first order was like 75 units or something like that. And I mean, we just like made them all. I don't know how. Again, sorry if you were one of the first early adopters. Send me a message. I'll send you a free candle. But yeah, it was definitely very startup. Everything you would imagine, it was that.
It's so incredible though, because like now looking back, you see the big picture, but like who would have thought that like you would have researched already so much about candles and how it would have ended up like playing out, and like now look at everything you've built.
Yes,
like it goes part of manifesting. It's like,
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like things that we don't think about, but they're like the seed was planted and then like it kept growing.
For sure. And it happens on so many other weird ways. So it's kind of amazing. That's why I love, screenshotting things and like making it my background or like printing things out or writing things down. We do once a year, the Taja team, we make vision boards. Like I'm very into that because that sort of gives you a goal and something to work towards. Yeah. And, when everything is like happy and rainbow and butterflies, it's like great. Yeah. But then obviously when things get a little more tough or dicey, you're like, okay, wait, this is like why, this is what I'm working towards. And so that's kind of...
Do you have any other tips for manifesting that you personally use? Or that now you know it's manifesting, back then you didn't know it was?
I mean...
That worked for you.
Yeah, I love writing things down. That's really like
vision board.
Yeah, vision board. I love that. Yeah, I don't know. I would love to do, I mean, I would love to do like a full moon circle thing and all that. I can't say I have yet. But, you know, at the HQ, we always like sage and we always do that kind of stuff. And like, we're very into, we have like smudge kits and things. So we're very into that. So I think just like meditating and like thinking about things that you want that's like worked for me. So I know it's simple, but I'm into that.
Yeah, no, and it seems like you maintain like a very positive vibe, and your candles also are very natural. So it's all very like
on brand,
positive, light, on brand. Exactly.
Yes.
Also, the company is completely women led.
It's just me, girl. And it's my team. I mean, we hire men, but we are currently all female. And so it's nice. You know, we work really well together. It's just like we're like one little family.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How have you learned to go from, like, I would say lawyer analytical, I don't know if you had a team, but now to leading a team?
Yeah, I had a team. I had an assistant who was amazing. I was like, and now I'm like, oh, I need an assistant.
What are your tips for leading a team, regardless of where you are?
I think it's being a leader is such a difficult thing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, some people are natural born leaders, and then some people you have to work a little harder. Like, I look at my husband, for example, and he's such a great leader. It's so natural for him. Like, he played sports growing up, so I think he has like that, you know, okay, time for a motivational speech. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. You know, I have a different approach. For me, I have to kind of work out that muscle a little bit, because, you know, at first I was like, I want to be best friends with everybody on my team, you know, and then that's not always the best or the most productive, or, you know, you don't always make the best decisions. So for me, it's kind of been like I'm just finding my way and my voice as a leader. But I've had life experiences that have shown me what I don't want on my team. And so, like, we're all very much on the same page. Like, everybody has very different personalities on my team, but we all kind of come together and we'll do weekly lunches and meetings and things like that. And we're always laughing. And so that's because if our universal mission is to make other people happy, then we have to be happy, right?
100%.
So, and I always say that, I'm like, when you pack things, like, think happy thoughts. Because if you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to break in transit, I just know it, it's going to break. So I'm like, happy thoughts, they're going to be so happy with it, you know? And so it's you got to pour the love into it. And also, like, it's important for me. Everybody's happiness on the team is really important to me. Yeah. I've had jobs where nobody cares if I'm happy or not. Like, you're just another number, and that's fine. Some places have to work like that. I just don't want Taja to be like that. So I take everybody's happiness very seriously.
So how did you go about building your team? Like, you have to have obviously a good group of people in there to keep that good energy together. So have you had to like fire people? How was that process, or just the process of building like a good team? Because you wouldn't be where you are now without one.
Definitely. I would say I kissed a lot of frogs before we came to this place. It did not happen overnight. I mean, I'm so grateful. I don't even want to jinx it, but I'm so grateful. You know, mostly everybody on my team has been with me for like 2-3+ years, and I'm only 7 years old. So, I mean, I've had some people on my team for 5 years. Wow. So it's kind of great to have, you know, and it's funny because like we'll look back and we'll laugh about like our old location, like, oh my God, remember when this happened? You know, we just have like history, which is so nice. And it's just really, I mean, I do team reviews, like one-on-one with everybody every 6 months. So it's just so nice because like one particular person on my team, she's been with me for like probably now she joined like a year and a half into Taja. So like almost 6 years at this point. Wow. And every time I'm like, okay, so, you know, I like to talk about like growth, areas that need some development, goals, things that are going well, things that could be improved, things like that. And so one particular person on my team, every time I'm like, is there anything that I can improve? And every time she's like, I just love it here. And that's the best. I mean, it's just like, it warms my heart because I'm like, I built an awesome team. Yes, it only took a few years, but you know, and yes, there's always, I mean, one thing that I learned early on, and I know everybody says to do this, but it's so much harder to do than to say, but you should fire fast. And that's true. Because like if there's somebody toxic on the team, and especially when you really care about the health and wellness of the team, if there's someone that's toxic on the team, it really does affect everybody. Yeah. And so that's something that I think helped. And yeah, just kind of like touching, like having face to face all the time and like touching base all the time. I mean, I always say it should never, like no one should ever come to me with a problem that's like up here. Right. It should, you know, like come to me when it's like kind of simmering and then we can talk about it and figure it out. I don't want to know about it when you're already at your max and you're like, I can't deal with this anymore, you know? So communication, I always tell them, over communicate, better.
Yeah.
If you're not sure, just over communicate.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You were also recently on Good Morning America.
Yes.
Which is an amazing accomplishment.
It was the best.
When did you go on?
I was on Good Morning America on May 9th. It was
so it just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
7 years later, you're on Good Morning America, and people think
awesome.
it's overnight.
Yes, definitely not overnight. I'm ready to send my resume. I love TV. It was amazing. It was the best feeling. I can't even describe it. I did not expect that. First of all, I didn't expect, it was just so tight. I mean, TV is just like professional. Like you come out, first of all, they like sent me a chauffeur. So like 5 o'clock in the morning, I come downstairs and he sent me a text. He's like, "Hi, I'm your chauffeur, and I'm ready whenever you are." I'm like, I could get used to this. Yeah. And then you pull up, and like some security opens the door, and he's like, "Welcome to Good Morning America." I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
Pinch me.
Yeah. No, I was just like, I'm home. Yeah. No, it was just great. I mean, I was on for all of like 70 seconds, but it was like the best. Yeah. I mean, it was just so fun, and also what it did was insane.
I was gonna ask, not sure if we're allowed to, but did you notice a difference in sales like post?
I mean, hands down. Wow. It was insane.
That's
I also didn't expect that. First of all, I was like, who watches Good Morning America?
Literally,
like so many people watch it.
I'm such a morning show girl. Like if I'm making
I love that.
I'll put it on when I was working corporate from home a lot more, because I would just like be working, having my breakfast, and I'd always have whatever was on. But I love it. It's so like relaxing.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best.
And then Annabelle's on.
And then I'm super
relaxing.
No, it was a great moment. It was probably like one of the highest moments of building my brand, and I didn't even realize it at the time, which almost made it better.
Manifested it.
Yes, totally. Totally. And now manifesting, I'm going to be on TV more. I was like, should I go on HSN? It's just, it's just a fun feeling. And then also, I always say this about the brand. I feel like we have something that's so unique and so special. And the reactions of people who get a Taja candle, it's so different. I have a realtor friend actually who was like, she just discovered Taja. She's like, how have I not been getting this for all of my clients? And I was like, just we're here.
Yeah.
And she's like, I used to always buy Hermes blankets, and they'll just say thank you, and that was it. She's like, I gifted one of your candles. I got tears. I got texts, like a million texts saying thank you. She's like, that's it. This is like my gift from now on. Yeah. And it's like a quarter of the price. Yeah. And I'm like, well, there you go. So it's, I always say I just wish more people knew about it, and what better way to do that than to be on TV. And it was kind of, for me, it was proof of that. Mm-hmm. That if you just show people what we can do, they'll really respond, and they did in such a positive way, and so that has been amazing.
In the beginning, I'm like selfishly asking for us, but in the beginning, when you have to make so many like financial decisions, and this is a bootstrap business, so sometimes you can end up like bleeding money into it. How did you prioritize, for example, like maybe a marketing effort would give you a lot of eyes and a lot of revenue, you still wouldn't be profitable, but how did you decide like these quick decisions could maybe get more eyes on the product, but you'd be investing a lot of money, and it's obviously a lot of risk. So how did you prioritize like marketing efforts versus just like staying fiscally more responsible and not taking that type of risk?
I think even as an investor, I'm more conservative. I've just never been a gambler. I mean, I'll play like one round of roulette at a casino, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I just don't really, especially when you're, I mean, I think every company should be bootstrapped. Yes, I said it.
Go off. Why?
Because it makes you not throw money around.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I always say if somebody gave me $1 million investment tomorrow, would I blow up and grow my company to where I want it to be? Sure. Would it take a tenth of the amount of time? Probably. But all of the things that I do now, it's best practices. I mean, you always negotiate things. Like I have friends who don't negotiate costs of things. They're like, oh no, that's what the cost is. And I'm like, hello, you gotta like, you know, or like try to, you know, I'm always, for the first 4 years of Taja, I did not spend $1 on ads, not 1 cent.
All word of mouth?
On Instagram, nothing.
Instagram.
We would send product. So technically it was like my cost of the product, but I never paid influencers. And I had some huge influencers post me in the first 4 years. So, and still, you know, that was never part of my budget. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice it. I know the landscape has changed a lot now. I get that. I mean, we do spend a lot of money now on ads and all of that. So like I do appreciate that. But I think that mentality of always being a little more conservative when it comes to the fiscal health of the company, I mean, I always lean into that side. I think there's always a scrappier way to do it. And I always tell people, like, that's like my first thing when I get on calls with like anybody that's trying to like sell me anything or help me or do anything. I'm like, okay, I'm just letting you know that it's self-owned and I'm scrappy. So if you could like knock off some of the cost for product or like whatever, I'll sell my soul. But like, you know, you got to work with me. That's like always. I mean, look, there's obviously some costs that are unavoidable. I mean, in the last 3 years, cost of soy wax has skyrocketed. Even, you know, my Wix, I mean, everything, shipping. I mean, the costs are so crazy now.
Everything is insane.
So it's hard, and it's really hard not to pass that on to the client. I mean, we're really trying hard not to. I mean, we really haven't raised our prices in a few years. We may have to soon. I mean, that's just like the nature of the game.
Yeah.
But it's just like a balance. But yeah, I just say always be a little more conservative and try to be creative.
I really like that you say to be scrappy, because I really think a lot of people, especially like maybe around our age, they're like, I just don't have the money, so I can't do it. And I think that's sort of an excuse, because if you really want it bad enough, then you will do it, even if it's scrappy, but it'll get it done.
Totally. I mean, you guys have ChatGPT. Like, you have no excuse. It's like free, and it tells you how to do everything. I mean, like, I could have saved so much money with ChatGPT. Yeah. I mean, you can tell ChatGPT, like, write out a marketing outline, and it will do it probably better than me.
A marketing person.
Like, yeah. I mean, so, yes, obviously you need, like, a human being to execute and do all of that. Yeah. But you have so many resources now that are free, that are unbelievable.
No, we really do. We can do it.
Yeah. Has the business like changed with the different social landscape that we're facing now with like TikTok and obviously growth on Instagram and Reels? Like, how has your business evolved with the evolution of social media?
I always say I love social media I love Instagram because my brand really grew and became successful because of Instagram. I give credit where it's due. That's absolutely true. When I started, Instagram became it. Yeah. Everybody had it. Everybody was on it. You know, no one was really talking about the negative effects of Instagram. It was just like a place to consume content and like see new products and get to know what's out there. So I think Instagram has always been one of our biggest drivers for sale. However, now you have to pay a lot of money to be more visible as a business. They definitely have made it a little bit harder, but you know, they're cashing in on it. They're a business too. Yeah. So it's definitely changed a lot. I mean, TikTok, I don't personally have an account. I tried it and like, this is way too much. I think I'm too old. Like, I know I'm in the like demographic, but like, I can't. It's too much. I also, like, I can get lost in that, like, scrolling, and I don't have time for it, so I just, like, I don't have it. Yeah. So, yes, we'll usually hire, like, an intern or someone to help us out with the Instagram. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, Instagram
But it
and
shows
TikTok.
like, the power of social media.
Yeah.
And if like you're not using it, what a disservice you're doing to your brand or your business, your personal brand. A lot of people are scared to get on Instagram to do certain things.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I am not, like, I don't love blasting my life, you know? And
No.
I feel like there's tremendous value in that. I mean, I've seen so many founders or business owners just using it and really leaning into it.
Mm-hmm.
I just am not that person. You know, and I sometimes wish I was. Like my head of marketing, she's always like, you got to post today. We need more lifestyle. We need more lifestyle. I'm like, my life is boring. What do people want to see?
You're like, I'm at work.
I know, like for real. And I really do cherish my privacy.
Yeah.
But, you know, at a certain point, there's things, and you can control like what you want to show, what you don't want to show. But like, it's intertwined. Like I am Taja and Taja is me.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we say. It's like, if you're growing first of all, every social media platform prefers a person over a business. So if people are finding me, great, you're going to find my business, which is the important aspect, obviously, which is what we always say. But we're like, okay, we're going to post on TikTok 3 times a day. And we're both like, I don't want to. Like, I don't have it in me to be like at work right now, at the podcast right now, eating my tuna sandwich right now. Like, it's a lot of work, and I understand why it's a full-time job. And it's so hard because it's like almost a necessary evil nowadays. And I almost wish it wasn't. Like, I wish it was just how it was back then, like word of mouth. But I know there's a lot of pros and people can grow a lot faster these days. But I do think it's hard to do both if you're not the type of person that wants to be sharing all the time. Like, I can't stand looking at my phone unless it's like I have to for work. But other than that, you're going to get caught like scrolling in reels and TikTok, this person's life, my business isn't growing, their business is growing, comparison, and it's just a lot.
Yeah, I think for something like that, I like to delegate. Like, that's a good place to delegate. Yeah. That's something like I would hire an intern, or I would hire a friend who's just looking for some part-time work. Just be like, hey, a couple of times a day, go in, like engage, post what you need to post, get out. Mm-hmm. You know, and that way it's not always on you. I mean, the best thing, my head of marketing, I mean, she knows it, but like I give her unlimited vacation because she always is on Instagram. And that's one thing that has given me so much peace that I don't have to always be on it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm on it a lot. I like to respond to customers. I like to engage with our clients. Mm-hmm. I'm still there, but I'm not the sole person, and I have help. And so it doesn't feel like it's always hanging over me and I always have to do it. And it's like pressure, pressure, pressure. I'm like, oh, okay, she's got it today. You know, some days I'll be like, I cannot be on social media today. She'll be like, okay, I got you.
Totally.
Speaking of delegating, so this is something that you probably don't have a problem delegating, but other things when you're like, why don't we just manufacture the candles ourselves? Is it hard for you to delegate certain things because you want to like be on top of everything?
Definitely.
But also the power of delegating is so powerful because
definitely
you don't have to do it all yourself.
Yes, it's definitely hard for a control freak to delegate. It's taken me a really long time to see the value in it because also it's my company. So no one is going to do it the way I'm going to do it, especially with sales and things like that. But you know what? Recently, I'm just really leaning into if you train someone and you really embody and you show them kind of what it is that the brand is about and what the messaging is, and you know, and they kind of have similar values, it's fine. Like, is it going to be exactly how I wanted it? Maybe not, maybe yes, but I cannot do everything, and there's no way I'm going to grow. So I'm really working on that. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
And you know, in terms of manufacturing things like that, I just don't trust. I mean, I'm not going to do it overseas, and I just don't trust that process. And also from a cost perspective, it just makes more sense for us to do it. And it's kind of nice. Like, it's nice that we do everything there. Also, it helps us be so nimble because most people, especially for wholesale, that call us and they're like, I need 4,000 candles for next week. You're like,
oh my God.
Okay. You know, like I have a team and I can make it happen. If I had to call somebody else to be like, you have to do this and you have to do that, you know? So it is, there is a huge benefit to having that.
Yeah, it feels like in-house, like you can just sort of like manage everything
Exactly.
right there.
Exactly.
Wow. So how do you balance all of that and wanting to grow and your personal life and a family?
I'm not going to tell you it's easy.
Definitely not.
I think that I have an amazing support team. Like my husband's amazing. My family's super helpful. My team at work is amazing. So that helps a lot.
Yeah.
And look, there's some days where I do it really well and I'm like, I got this. And then there's other days where I'm like, I'm drowning. I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's just always pushing through and moving forward. Not dwelling on little hiccups, like negative customer feedback or a problem that happened or some inner office whatever's happening, you know, just kind of like working through things as it comes and then that's done. Let's go, keep going, move forward. So yeah, I mean,
was it always like an easy thing for you to just like not dwell on it? I feel like for natural people pleasers,
yeah.
it's a little hard to like not dwell on certain things or maybe overthink it. But is that something you just had, or was that like a muscle you trained that you were like, all right, I have to keep moving forward? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, not doesn't matter, but like, we'll address it. It's also not the end of the world.
I think that it happened by default because I have no time. So I just don't have time. And I have, you know, I'll have friends who will tell me about some argument that they had with somebody or their husband or whatever. And it's so funny. I always say my husband and I never, ever fight around the holidays. Why? Because I am so busy that I don't even
Have the energy.
care.
You're
I
like,
think
I'm
I just
not-
don't
I'm
even
not
care.
gonna argue.
Like, there's just nothing, you know, I won't like nitpick on something or like, I'm so go with the flow and chill
Yeah.
because I'm so busy and it's just sort of like survival. Like, okay, drop off the kids, go to the gym, get to work, make a million candles, whatever, you know, like whatever. It's just sort of, it's just like, it's just go. And that's like, I think I thrive the most when I'm really busy. So I secretly love it.
Yeah,
And I think I'm like a better version of myself because it forces me. It's not like it's not even like a muscle I'm training. It just forces me to not dwell on things.
Yeah. So I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. I think we say that too. Well, she's planning her wedding right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be like in 6 months. And we just decided the venue. I'm like, we, as if I'm the husband.
I love it. Congratulations to you both. Where are you registered?
I'm and she's like, this is good. Like, I like the chaos. Like, 6 months, I got this. I'm like,
You can thrive under pressure.
Yes.
Because then you're like, boom, boom, boom,
Yes.
and you get it done. When you have too much time,
You think about it. You
shouldn't be
overthink
here,
it.
There, I have all the time. No, just don't give me all the time in the world. Let's just get it done.
Yeah, same.
It's much better.
But I was wondering, like, you have this business, you're an entrepreneur, and you want to dedicate so much time. Like, how did you decide when you were ready to have your first baby to be like, okay, I'm going to have to give up some time from the business to be a mom now? Let alone be a partner, because I even have issues being a partner sometimes with work. I mean, we're younger, but yeah.
Don't rub it in.
I want a baby.
I don't think that it was, when I first of all, we weren't as busy. I started in the middle of 2017 and I gave birth to my son in the beginning of 2019. Okay. So it kind of happened in the earlier days. So, the business was very different then than it is now. Mm-hmm. And obviously it was different. 3 years later, I had my daughter. It was a very different landscape. I had maybe an hour of maternity leave. Like, I was calling. My husband has photos of me, 9.5 months pregnant, like in the hospital, about to have a C-section, and I'm like on the phone with my girls at work, and I'm like, okay, like really like an hour before. So yeah, I think that it wasn't. You just kind of make it work.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do or not do something because of
your business.
Yeah. Like I had kind of seen that in a corporate setting, and I saw the things that you have to really give up. And for me, I really value the life balance part. And so I think it's amazing that your generation, are you guys Gen Z?
No, wait.
We're right before them, I think.
You're still millennials?
No, we're not millennials. We're in the middle.
Okay, chill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Gen X.
Okay, fine. So your generation,
Who cares?
but your generation is starting to, you guys really value like work from home and, entrepreneurial things. Like my generation, it wasn't like that. It was sort of like what top Fortune 500,
Right, totally.
you know, company are you going to work for and be a number for and like grind and
Yeah.
grind and grind and like how much did you work? I worked 24,000 hours, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that's my generation, so it's very different. So I think that's amazing that you guys value that. And since I'm kind of on the cusp, I value that. And so I was like, okay, I'm a hard worker, but I also do want a life. I want a family. And so for me, I always value that. And I wanted that to be a priority. So I think there's no perfect time ever, but you make it work no matter what.
I always like just think about that because like yourself, like we're very career driven women, and I'm always like, can you be like a good mom and a good business owner, or does it have to be like one day you're better at being a mom and one day you're better at being a business owner?
Yeah, it's probably a mix of all of that.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, even if you're not a business owner, there's going to be days where you're not the best version of yourself. But you know, I was just talking about this with my husband. He's like, somebody told me this quote and it's amazing. And it's like, some days if you're not at 100%, right? And you're like, your tank is at like 40%. You're like, I can't give 100 today, but I can give 40. If you give that 40, it's still giving 100% of your ability that day. Yeah. So I love that. And I'm like, okay, so it's true, right? No one's giving 100% all the time. That's so unrealistic and unattainable. Yeah. So it's nice to have that grace for yourself. Yes. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm a great mom. Am I like 100 all the time? Definitely not. But yeah. And same with being a business owner. Like sometimes I'm just like, guys, I am so like I'm just drained. Yeah. Let's table this. Let's talk tomorrow.
Yeah. That's why it's nice to have a good team.
Definitely.
Good support system to keep
Definitely.
it going.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about a day in your life.
Ooh.
What is a typical day?
Typical day.
Or like an ideal perfect day.
Okay, well, those are very different.
Let's go with an actual day.
Okay, I'll tell you an actual day. So I get up, usually to my son tapping on my shoulder, saying, "Mommy, it's 7." We tell him he can't come out until 7 because, you know, he would get up at like 6:30 and like start running around. So, and my daughter sleeps much later than him. So we're like, okay, you have to be quiet. And at 7 o'clock, you're allowed to come to us. So 7 o'clock on the dot, he's like right here. So
alarm clock.
Yeah. So that's how it starts. Everyone's always like, oh, I start my day meditating with my lemon water. I'm like, I'm usually like scared half to death because I have a 5-year-old like breathing in my face. And I'm like, oh my God. I actually started wearing an eye mask because I would start seeing, like I would think I see him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I need some help with that. So that's how it starts. Then I get them to school usually if it's or camp or whatever. And then I like to hit the gym. Actually, that's a lie. I go to work. So my whole life is like in a 5-mile radius. Mm-hmm. And I love that. And I really created that for myself because growing up, my dad commuted. We lived in New Jersey, and he commuted to the city every day. And yeah, we're only 20 miles outside New York City, but you know, traffic is insane. So there would be days where I wouldn't see him because I left to go to school and missed him. And then by the time I went to sleep, like he was coming home so late. So I think the commuter lifestyle for me was never it. So I really created this system, and I love it. So school is about 2 miles from my house.
I like that.
It's great.
Like you're so like thoughtful, even like on where you live. Because I think about that. My fiance commutes, and maybe he could work out in the morning. But right now we're not moving there. But
it's just look, and like maybe there's a way around that, right? So I like to drop them off, and then I like to work. I'm the most productive in the morning. Some people are night owls. I'm a morning person. So for me, I used to work out like right away, but I actually like to go to work for a couple of hours first, and then I'll do like a noon Barry's class or something, or Tremble or whatever, Pilates. Like I just like to do that in the afternoon because my most productive hours is in the morning.
Yeah, totally.
So like from 9 to 11:45, I'm just cranking it out. And it's also really nice because it's quieter. We don't have customers coming in. So I'm really focused. Then I like to work out because I like to do something active every day. And so that's like my lunch break. And lately, you know, I'll like have lunch after that. And then I'll probably finish out the day at work, or I'm doing something. Either I'm meeting with a client, or I'm meeting with I don't know, or I'm Zooms, whatever. I like to do that kind of stuff in the afternoons because I'm not as like diligent and quick and, and that's it. Then it's usually my husband will pick up the kids. So I meet them at home, dinner, bed, or an activity, whatever, bed. And then I'm on my emails and I like to watch a show before bed, and that's it. I just got a PEMF mat. So like I'll just lay in my bed.
All about these mats.
Yeah. And then, like I will always try to do like self-care.
Yeah. Every day? Like
Yeah, every day.
Like a little
Every
dose
day.
of it?
Every damn day. Yeah.
Like what? Oh, well, like
Like
that.
that or lemon water. Like for me, like it's a luxury, but like it's so nice when I actually do it. My goal is to start incorporating sauna. I just did it with my sister in New York, and it was like life-changing. And my husband's been telling me to do it for years, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, it's so hot and sweaty. And then I did it with her, and I was like, oh, I feel amazing.
I know.
So I'm going to start like twice a week, 30 minutes, 1 hour a week. I can devote that. Yeah. And also, like, I'll play tennis. Like, for me, that's self-care. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just makes me happy. So, I don't know. I really try to sprinkle in some self-care. But, yeah, my days are always, like, nonstop.
I like that you're very into health and fitness.
Yeah.
You were a Flywheel
Yes.
instructor. I never went to the classes because I didn't grow up on the beach, so it wasn't, like, my place. But you did.
I did.
How long did you do that for?
Yeah, wait, I want to know, where was Flywheel in this?
So, Flywheel. Okay.
So you do a lot, by the way. Like,
yeah.
It's so
I know.
amazing
Yes.
that you're talking about
Like, thinking,
that.
like, lawyer, founder, entrepreneur, mother, and then you were a Flywheel. It's like, I love that.
I love that too, and it's so funny. I just joined this networking group. I will answer your question, but I just joined this networking group, and it's, a lot of very, very impressive people. And one of the things to become a member, they don't just like let you be a member. You can't just like pay to be a member. You have to have one-on-one lunches with everybody. And so I've been having this opportunity to talk to all of these interesting, amazing, a lot of them are older than me. So they have these insane careers. And one of the things that I really appreciated, and I was like, I need to do this, is it's so not linear. It's not like, I was the CEO of blah, blah, blah for 45 years. I mean, that's impressive too. Like, don't get me wrong. But it's so amazing to see, I just had lunch with one of the women, and she really inspired me. She's a photographer, but doesn't do that for work. It's just her hobby. She is a published author, like 5 times or 10 times. I mean, so she was an anchor on CNN. She had her own art gallery. She was a speaker and spoke all around the world. I mean, like, her resume was just like nonstop, and it's so interesting, and it was so cool and different. It wasn't just like one thing, like this linear path. So I'm really about that. So I'm really trying to manifest it. So thanks. I appreciate it. That's a really big compliment for me right now.
No, and I love that just because I think that today and age, you can be so many different things. Mm-hmm. Like, we can be in real estate, and we can have a podcast, and you can have different things, and like that all creates like a well-rounded, interesting person.
Exactly.
And I think sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just think a lot of people say you need to focus on one thing and do that thing really well. I agree with that. I think you need to be focused. But I do think it is interesting if you can be malleable and adaptive to different opportunities that come your way, because I do think that we are manifesting them in some sort of way, and why not try it? And if it doesn't work out, you'll learn something and apply it to your next business.
Absolutely. And look, you don't have to do everything, and you can't do everything at once. So I agree with you. I mean, I started at Flywheel when I was in law school. I was going to classes, and it was sort of like my escape. And I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. I love it. I want to try it. They were doing tryouts. I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm probably not going to become an instructor, but I just want to do the training and see what it's like. I was just curious about it. And so, fast forward, I ended up becoming an instructor. I only taught 3 to 5 classes a week, which is nothing. And by the way, I would have worked out.
That's a lot. I'm like, that's
no, but look, the classes were 45 minutes, and the time commitment wasn't that crazy. And anyway, I would have been working out during that time, and so I was like, this is the best job. I get paid to work out, okay, and meet people. It was such a great way to meet people and have that connection. So I tried to continue to work after I graduated law school, and I was clerking. So I had a little more, I was on government hours, so it was a little bit better. But then, I kind of kept with it, but then my class schedule like really trimmed down. I went from, 5 classes to 4 to 3 to 2. And then at that point, I kind of said, if I can't really give this 100, and it's when I started Taja and we really started to grow, I really couldn't mentally handle like mom,
Right.
founder, CEO, Flywheel instructor. Like it got to the point where I was like, okay, I want to do this 100%. And like, I really can't, because it requires a lot more work than just showing up and working out. You have to build a playlist and, there's a lot of things that go into it. So at that point I realized, I can't do it all in this moment. And I left, and then, pandemic hit, and RIP Flywheel.
I know, seriously.
I know, it was such a great community, and I still see so many people from there. I mean, some of my best clients are from Flywheel.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
And it's like cool because you think back now probably and you're like, any opportunity I took like brought me clients for my next business too. Like people know Taja because they used to ride with you at Flywheel, perhaps.
And I also made some amazing friends from there.
Yeah.
So that are so different and like-minded, it was such a great community, and it really expanded my resume, but also like my life resume.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It was so fun.
Annabelle, how do you define success?
Oh boy. I'm reading a book now. It's called The Joy of Success. And so it's really changing how I define success.
Oh, I love that.
So it's amazing. It's by Susan Ford Collins, who's one of my mentors. And for me, success is gratitude. It's feeling leveled, happy. You don't have to be like, every day, but just kind of like grateful for where you are, for what you have. Sometimes it's not always like the best situation, but I think if you're continuing to work for your goal, like work towards goals and checking those off, big or small, that's success. And this book is so interesting because she has a method called success filings. And so at the end of every day, you write down the things that you did successfully, like what you did well. Because like I said, generally at the end of the day, you think of everything that went wrong poorly. And you're like, and what a bad note to end and to remember the day. So if you write your successes, it's successful. It's full of successes. Yeah. So it's just, I'm obviously really like trimming down the message, but it's such an amazing book. And so that's really helping me kind of reconfigure it because, I came from the mentality that making a ton of money, working at a really big company or a big name where people are impressed by it and, having that notoriety is successful. So I have to kind of like rewire how I see it.
It's funny because like even that, now that I'm thinking about it, like writing down all your successes of the day, like that also is just gonna go back and manifest more successes because that's like literally what you're thinking. It's 100%. Like a positive feedback loop constantly every single day. And then positive things keep manifesting, but you're literally only focusing on the positive every day.
It's So
I shall be implementing it.
I know. I'll send you the book. It's very good.
And the book too. Oh my God. I love that. What is your advice to your younger self? Anything. To starting a business, to life. What's one thing you would tell her?
I would tell her to like invest in Apple and Starbucks and Disney, like and Uber and Facebook and buy a ton of property when I first moved to Miami. Like I would tell her all of those things, for real. But I would just tell her to believe, just to continue to believe because it's going to work out. And, if you think it's going to work out, it will. So there's like, obviously, I know that there is like very tough moments where that doesn't seem right. But if you believe, I think that it keeps pushing you forward. And yeah.
Love that. So what is next for Annabelle and Taja's story?
who knows, maybe lots of TV segments. You know, I mean, the goal is to continue to grow, really grow and spread the love and continue to make people happy. And so, you know, what that is exactly, we'll see.
Cool. Well, we are right at the end of our episode. And at the end of the episode, we like to give our listeners the pink print to personal growth. So what would be your homework assignment? That's how we do it for our listeners. One thing, one actionable tip that they can do to make a change in their lives.
I would say prioritize yourself at least once a day.
Okay.
For 1 minute, for 1 hour, for whatever. But just prioritize yourself for a small tidbit of your day. And I think it would make a huge difference in everything. I mean, if you're a student, if you're working, if you're a mom, if whatever, if you prioritize yourself just a little bit every single day, you really start to value that. And then maybe it'll, you know, grow into more time and, you know, self-care. And I think it's really important.
I love that. Thank you so much, Annabelle.
Thanks,
for coming on the
ladies.
Pink
So
Print
fun.
podcast. We're so grateful to have you today, and thank you for sharing your story.
So happy to be here.
Thank
Thank you.
TajaCollection.com, at Taja Collection, Taja Collection, no S, on Instagram and everything else. And we made a code for your listeners, valid until November 1st. It's
I'm gonna use
PPP 15.
I know. I was like, I'm going to go buy things right now.
Perfect. Thank you so
Thanks, guys. So much
guys.
fun.
Go use the code Best Candles in the world. They're literally
And they're the best gifts, like, too. They're the best.
ever. Customizable, beautiful, smell amazing, good for your body too. So we love.
And they'll make you happy.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
true. Bye, guys. Thank you.